Hello and welcome to another episode of The Worth Revealed. Today with me is a very brilliant and an amazing personality. Welcome Shakshi Vasudev.
Thank you
And
so much.
she has been in the industry for more than a decade. She started from um, humble beginnings and reached to a position where it states that luxury does not mean you come from a very elite background or an elite environment. And this is something which I really feel that people should know, that luxury is not what you're born into, but you can build it. So, Sakshi, please tell us, audience, we are so excited to really understand how did luxury happen to you and how does it feel.
I think some of the people in the families are born as black sheep, as they say. I was somebody who wouldn't fit to many roles, many traditional roles that were put to girls. I would like to play with boys. I wanted to be much more enthusiastic. I wanted life to be much more experimental. I wanted to do all things which I was denied to. And I would put certain questions, and my family and my friends would call me rebel. But gradually, as I proceed through life, I have seen that, it is something that allowed me to make my own destiny and my own way going forward. So Sakshi was somebody who was bullied when she was a child. Sakshi was somebody who was body shamed for being so thin. I think all of those things stayed with me for a very long time, being too thin, being too skinny, and not confident enough. But I think everybody who believes in God, God has a plan for them. My plans happened, how I would just sit in front of God and pray, and all the angels came my way.
How did your journey begin? And give us the milestones which like our audience needs to know, that somebody from like who's been through your experiences, how do they find strength, and how did luxury even happen to you? Like, where is that one in your journey? I guess it's a very interesting journey and we would like to hear it from you. And as per how the milestones develop and how did you develop yourself to become such an amazing person which you are today?
I think luxury had to happen to me because even though I had humbling backgrounds, I would still have friends, those who would will give me all the luxury that I wanted to have in my life. And when I was probably sent away from school for not paying my school fee, somebody paid for my the entire year, somebody paid the fee. So I felt, this is also something that I should have, a privilege to be free in mind. And this is how I started having the seed of, having that lifestyle in me. It happened, the journey started when I was in college. And I had joined NCC because we would get free coupons for food. That was my first free go. But my teacher sent me for the best cadet competition in NCC. So for one whole year, I was being trained by one of the colonels who sometimes he would drag me down from the stage saying that you are not smiling enough, you are not standing correctly. I felt that he was a villain back in those times. And accidentally one day when I was sending one text message to one of my friends, I said this person is a villain. I accidentally sent this to the same colonel.
Oh my God.
So he made me sit and he told me that, he believed that I could do something and that is why he was training me for. So I think these small, small seeds are really important to start building a tree. And after NCC, I had become somebody who would again look different from everybody else optically as well, because I would stand a certain way. My shoulders would always be straight and I would always look sharp in the eye. I would have a loud voice. I think everything was building me for what I am today.
Was it your finishing? Was
I would call it. It was a very desi finishing school, but I would call it the most beautiful school that I got admitted to without paying a fee. But it is worth millions, yeah. And then I went for my first job where this colonel only had recommended me. He said you must go and get some kind of experience. And I was taking care of students, those who were from upper kindergarten. The first day I went in the classroom, I saw that everybody was going left, right, and center, and these students had no control over themselves. They were doing whatever brought them joy. I was little jealous of them, to be honest, but I could not become them. I started being harsh with them. And this is where the wife of this colonel came in picture and excused me and told me to go for child psychology. I think that child psychology is something which allows me to understand all of us, including you and me, have a child inside of us, who wants to do whatever the world tell us don't do. And after that, I could not look at everybody as adults. I started looking at where is this person coming from? What is this person desiring to hear? How would this person feel good in my company? And I made sure that anybody who came across my way would go out with a smiling face and something that makes them feel acknowledged about their own selves. And from there, I moved to one of the spas. Again, it was destiny. I went for this interview, and it was a very funny interview because the person who was taking my interview, she asked me one question. She said, "Do you have convenience?" I said, "I have lot of convenience, but I think you are asking me about conveyance, if I had conveyance to travel to the work." And we just had this little chat, and she said, "Okay, on board. We want this kind of humor to be there for our clients because the kind of costing that we are putting for spa is like so huge that people might think twice before entering. But I think you will make the things light for people." And nothing else was asked. I was like offered a position, I was given the salary that I asked for, everything was done. And that laid the foundation for being resilient and being strong. Everything that came my way, probably I must have encountered it with a lot of courage. But my test had happened when I was working in spa. I
Oh,
enrolled myself for MBA. I was funding my education. I was studying. I was doing a lot of things. I was dancing. I was singing. I was doing horse riding.
oh
I was
wow.
probably learning rifle shooting. Everything I was doing simultaneously. Whatever money I would get, I would spend on myself and my studies, of course. So when MBA was happening in the third semester, I met with an accident and I broke my left knee, which made me unfit for the job for a couple of months. But during that time, even recession had happened and they were throwing people out. And again, I did something very, very funny. The owner of the place happened to visit us and he was actually letting people go from the organization by giving them something which was little emotional as a speech. So I did little drama. He said, you have to do things which probably other people are doing. So you have to become a multitask person. I said, I am ready to do even the mopping of the floor, but I want this job and I want this money. So, I was made to do certain works which probably I never thought I'd be doing. First, I experienced everything and then I made everybody else experience that. I think when I was in sauna for the first time, I felt so delighted as if I was in heaven and, all the warmth that I needed from God was given to me. And that joy I was able to pass on to clients because had I been very much used to of this lifestyle, I might not have been able to deliver the services that I was delivering now.
Wow.
Worked there for 3 to 4 years before this person decided to shut down. And then I came to Chandigarh. Chandigarh happened to be very close to Ludhiana. I was visiting one of my family relatives who used to be there in Chandigarh. And one day we had gone out for a stroll, and a guy met me and he said, "You are very good looking. You must go for this interview." At first, I thought he was flirting, but I was jobless. And I thought, okay, I'll go. And then he gave me a newspaper which said that participants, those who are coming from out of station, will get, food for 3 times: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I
Oh
told
wow.
my brother, I said, it's our chance to have all 3 meals at Mercedes. Let's go. So both of us went. Maybe there were 100 or more candidates there. First of all, I was really petrified. I thought that I would not have a chance here. But then I kept, sitting because I was very natural with people. I would not get scared of anybody. There was a lesson my colonel told me. He said, don't be scared of people. Nobody should be able to tell you who you are, and nobody should be able to control how you feel about certain things. You should feel everything from your own perspective. That saved me a lot of time during the interview session. So I enjoyed my breakfast. I had like 2, 3 cups of tea, and then I had my lunch. And post lunch, most of the people, had gone. Probably they started thinking that, the crowd is too much. Maybe they are filtering a lot of profiles. What will happen to us? Maybe we are not good enough. But I was just enjoying there. And the last session happened with MD. And before he said, okay, welcome on board, Sakshi. Before leaving his office, I asked him, I said, it is close to evening, but I want my dinner to be given to me because I'm going back home. And this is how, probably I had a very small position back at that time in the organization. But I think being humorous added, you know, a part of me to his memory that he was not able to forget. He said,
Oh wow.
go and sit in the cars, try and look at what were the features. For first time when I saw that the split view screen was there in S class and there was a inbuilt massager and there's a refrigerator in the car, I was like, I want this. So, I would always learn from the leaders in the team. I would not go for people because I felt they were still trying to figure out, things for themselves. So I would always be sitting with my boss in his cabins taking notes. I would have a register. I would buy one register. two registers, three registers. And back then, people used to write. Phone was still not a thing that people would carry in
Yes.
their hands. So when I had five of those registers, my boss told me, said, enough of this, Sakshi, you must, put yourself to work. So I said, take me as a client. I am somebody who's coming from outside. I'll come on my day off and test drive you are giving to all the clients, irrespective of their titles and profiles. So I said, take me as your client and make sure that I get the test drive before I start selling cars, because I need to know if these features that you're telling me about actually works or not. And then I started doing rash driving. I made sure that, I tested the gadget always possible to make sure that I was able to give the speech to the client in such a firm, conviction that this person is able to buy cars now. And during that time, we attended an event in Mercedes, which was all about driving your own cars in different terrains and taking care of the possibility to save lives in tune with any of the accidents that would happen naturally or unnaturally. So when I saw a car could do so much, I could actually make sure that people will be now very easily able to spend money on this. And that made me so sure about what I was doing. While speaking to one of the drivers, I came to know that he helped make all the choices for the client to decide which brand he would like to go for buying luxury cars. And that made me question this driver. I thought, see, bol raha hoga, I don't know. Why is he bluffing? But then when I got into details, I came to know that, most of the people were using chauffeur driven cars. They would barely sit in the car. It was only used for them to be picked up from home, and drop off was happening at work, and vice versa. And I also came to know they had different sizes of the cars. They had sedans for probably parties where they wanted to show that they have, some luxury cars, and hatchbacks for, places where they felt that the narrow lanes were there, and SUVs when they wanted to go for off-roading. And I felt one person has so many cars. Why not get this opportunity to know this client and sell as many cars as possible? So we started working on all these small things that would speak to them in their own language. And this is where I started reading a book which is called Five Languages of Love by Gary Chapman. So this book told me that I should speak the language which this person wants me to speak. This person wants me to say that, your choice is wonderful if you're buying all the Mercedes. I said that. And that made me a lot of connections in a very short time in Mercedes. And I sold my first car, over phone. One has to always reach the right person, the right decision maker.
In our previous chat, Sakshi, you told, I think it's off the record, cars are like chocolates. So, and I would, for me, it's just kind of a very vague concept because I do love cars and it's very expensive. And like I said, how does the analogy of selling chocolates and selling cars would really compare to each other from your point of view, who was in the car business?
See, the only thing is, if you have to tell your parents to buy you a chocolate, you have to do your homework. And I did my homework before I reached these clients. I did thorough analysis and study of who this client was, what was the pattern of this client, which car did they like to buy, what was the color preference that they had, what was the engine that they were looking forward to, what did they want to show to people around. Do they had this idea that they wanted to show off that they have so many cars, or they were somebody who wanted to build their profile. So I did my homework before I would reach and target the client. And that made me, say this, that selling cars for me was like selling chocolate. So this is how, Mercedes happened. And my boss, he made sure that I learned everything, because I would always bombard with him with questions and he would answer everything. And this is how my relationship with men started building up in a very positive way, because I felt that men are treated very less than what they are deserving of.
Oh.
Because my first boss at Spa also gave me an opportunity to work. He found me solutions. Even at Mercedes, this person would sit and say, why are you questioning so much? Let me reach what is your curiosity, and we would answer that and will give you a way forward. And I think I looked at men with lot of respect and dignity post that, because my progress was happening because of these men in my life.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then I shifted my base from Punjab to Delhi. So I'm really thankful to all the men in my life until today, whoever has given me a chance to grow. And I want the world to also look at men, even men like you, those who are taking the lead, to make sure that, whatever is your experience does not go with you, but is,
Thank you so
liberated
much.
and given to everybody who is in need. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
So, and then you moved to Delhi, and that's where the magic, which I believe that made you shine, happened. Because I think you already had an inclination that you are on the way to somewhere in something, and I believe that I think that is where your journey to shine and on a very big platform happened. So please share something about Delhi and what what the single moment where you thought that, oh, I've made it, and this is my game, and this is I am the master of this.
While I was still in Mercedes, I was calling certain clients. I was given database from Delhi because, Punjab used to be the highest seller for the luxury cars. So I was doing certain calls on a database that was given to me. And I happened to make a call to the same person I was working for in Spa.
Oh, what a coincidence!
And
What a coincidence!
yes. No, I call it destiny today. I was very delighted to find that this coincidence has happened for me, back then. And he said that, if you have done your MBA, you must come to Delhi and explore the options here. Again, as I said, I was rebel. Then very next day, I bought a bag, I packed my bag, and I told my family I was going to Delhi. And nobody believed me,
Dangerous, right? It's a very dangerous reflection of Delhi at that point of time. The single young girl going there to look for a job, and you didn't have a job at about that time. You were just going blind and just had no connections, nothing. So it's quite brave of you.
Yes, it is. I also, feel that my role model uh, today is Kangna Ranaut, but I used to look forward to women, those who had made changes, in somebody's life and in their own lives. So I used to look up to people, those who have done certain things in their lives. And one such girl I found was one of my NCC seniors, and she happened to be in Delhi for her PhD. And I requested her if I could stay with her for a couple of days. She said that wasn't a possibility. I said, I am a person who is solution oriented. Find me a way. I want to come and see you. And then she, made arrangements while I used to have food from whichever option, the cheapest option was available for me to have food. I would go home, sleep, get up early in the morning, have my shower, and then leave. We used to have dongle for the internet, if you
Yes.
remember. So I would have my dongle and I would sit probably at metro stations and malls, wherever possible. And I would make sure that I send my application to whichever profile came my way. After 96 interviews, I happened to visit one of the consultancies. I think I'll take their name because they need to be known for what good work they did back then and still they're doing. It was Unison International in Gurgaon. When I went for the interview, Unison International does a lot of work before they send you for actual interview. They look at your grooming, they look at the way you're speaking, they look at your resume. I met Parts and Abhilasha.
Okay.
These two people were doing the screening. These two people were taking care of me. So they made sure that, they filtered the information that I needed to share with the person who was interviewing me. After a couple of days, I received a call from Unison saying that you have to go for an interview for Chanel. Now, a girl like me knew nothing about Chanel. I started typing all kind of spellings for Chanel. I started with
Was your
S.
pronunciation of the brand same right now, or was it called Channel?
No, I called it Chanel only because this is how this woman spoke to me. It was Chanel only. Had it been Channel, then it would have been probably easy for me to search for it. Yeah. So it was Chanel. I tried, making all the possible ways to find things about it, but I couldn't. So then I called Abhilasha and she sent me an email everything about Chanel. When I started reading about Chanel, I felt that I was also Chanel. I'm coming from a humble background. I have big dreams. People are making fun of me. One story that connected me to Gabrielle Chanel was when she sang at a cabaret or a bar. I don't clearly remember because all the stories about Gabrielle Chanel are not put directly on force. It's like a mystery which is unsolved, unresolved. So when she was singing during one of her, working experiences, she sang pathetically. She did not sing well, and people would make fun of her. And in that particular French song, I can't pronounce the right name of the song in French, but it meant coque di Q, coco di Q. And the coco in that particular song meant dog. And now, whenever she would go, people would make fun of her, calling her Coco. And she took it so positively. She said, if people remember me as Coco, why not I become Coco? She picked up all the pebbles and she created a fort for herself. And that reminded me of who I was. If people said, "Tumhari bahut lambi zuban hai," I said, yes, because I need to speak. Somebody has to speak, even for those who can't. And this is how I related myself to Gabrielle Chanel. And I started reading about her more and more. And I felt if she could, I would also be able to do things for myself and for everybody who was, connected to me. Be my family, be my friends, or people those who looked up, and even people those who were looking down upon me back in those times. Sometimes being a girl, it's not easy. It's difficult when your own family doesn't stand a ground for you. And I think in this particular time, I was reminded of my strength, and it comes from Shiva. I'm a devotee of Shiva. And whenever I would be caught in a situation, I would pray to him and he would pull me out. So I prepared for my interview. I read about Chanel. I was in love with Chanel before even joining the brand. And then the day of interview arrived. So I went to Imperial Hotel. I walked into the hotel. I saw everything. Somebody's opening door for me. They are wishing me good morning, good afternoon. As I went for the interview, I was so surprised because there was fountain where the interview station was put, and two of the people are sitting there on a couch. And I never imagined interviews could be like this. And I was like standing and looking at everything in awe. And I had this huge bag that I would carry every day because my things were not allowed in that PG paying guest where I was staying. So I had Nokia 1100 back. So this lady looked at me and she said, the flashlight of your phone is on." I said, with the flip of my hair, I said, "Yes, because I like to shine." And then they asked me nothing else. We were just sitting and chit chatting, and I was bragging about Punjab, where I'm coming from. People have a lot of money. They're buying cars like chocolates, and there is a lot of money. We should loot people of all the money that we have. I even gave them suggestion to open Chanel in Punjab. All that thing happened. And they poured me tea, and I was like so happy looking at these people that in my heart I said, I want to work for these people. If they can be of certain profile and they're pouring me tea and they're making me comfortable and they're laughing with me, they're not behaving bosses, I want to work with them. And with this manifestation or with this desire, I went back home. And after 2 days, I received the letter that you'd be joining Chanel.
And
Yeah.
that's the
And
journey
then
which you started your luxury experience with, and you grew from there. The interesting part of your story is still, I think, and you're such a good storyteller, and you're so engrossed in your point of views, and it also shows the grassroots level of how we cannot really see from a surface from outside in, or even from a person who's consuming luxury or understanding luxury, because in today's day and age, I don't think so anybody understands the struggle which you have been through, and you're taking it with a pinch of salt, and and giving it a very beautiful and an amazing picture to us. But in actual senses is actually is very difficult. The struggle is real. And in India, till today, we really see that a lot of aspirational youth, they want to get into luxury. And in today's day and age, I think India has the youngest population in the world of teenagers and people who are working, and they always want something. Not a lot of people reach that level, and they have the courage to do that. You have put together such an amazing story, and people will be inspired to listen to you. And then in that, the candid analogies and the anecdotes which you really put forward, it's quite entertaining. But just to tell our audiences that Sakshi's journey and everybody, I think we think it's very, so it's not about how easy it is. It is how you keep on persisting and persevering. These two aspects which I feel that people should know, that yes, at every point of time, and Sakshi beautifully and smilingly says that she had no place to go and she would love to dream about hot food. It is very difficult at times when you leave your comfort zone and go out somewhere and try to grow and follow something which you dream of. And yes, there is a pathway, and probably like people like Sakshi has made that pathway easier for the generations right now to follow. I think hats off to you, Sakshi. This is a journey, and then um, it's how you have developed yourself, because it's not a lot of people get support, and if they don't get support, they kind of get depressed and then they stay where they are throughout their lives. And somebody like you can just shine that light, and and that's the idea, to put your voice through. I want to know that the luxury part, once you entered luxury, Like now you're actually in an environment of luxury. People are, you know, having expensive cars, they're talking nicely, their etiquettes are so refined and polished. And then there is a certain way where you maneuvered yourself with becoming the CRM and having customer facing experiences and then developing yourself. What do you think is the most important transformation? I know you've been through multiple transformations, and it's always the beauty of how a person gets polished or chiseled to a place where we speak right now as as you know, we are already in the industry for more than 20, 30 years. How does person develop that, and where do you think your catalyst lies? You know, this is in looking back that, okay, Josefa, like this is the time when I thought that I changed.
It's a very inspirational question. It would probably inspire several people like me, because some people will have a different eye. They would look at light and they would say, we are looking at the dark. And then, the society and people around us would question, why are you blind enough to not see the light but shadow? Maybe this person has a perspective to look at shadow. And this thing I feel is quite missing in today's time, where people are judging everybody very constantly. And I was also being judged. But I felt that if people were judging me, I was happy and delighted that at least I was, a talk of the town. I said my inspiration came from Gabrielle Chanel, people like Kangna Ranaut, and certain different human beings. I think I became very philosophical at a young age because I spent a lot of time talking to myself, because people didn't believe in me. So I had nobody to speak to but myself. So I would stand in front of the mirror and I would talk. I would say something and I would ask the person inside me to answer. So made me enter Chanel with that perspective that today, if I'm entering here, I might be coming from zero. But zero is a very beautiful beginning. Zero means you are blank, and anybody and everybody has potential to write things on you that needed to be written. So when I entered, the first thing that happened was I was chosen to be part of the training which happened before other team members could join. So they sent me to different stations wherein I experienced Chanel before joining Chanel. I felt that one client can behave a certain way when they enter Imperial. Back then it was an Imperial Hotel. Have a lot of cash. They would actually count the cash. And this is how they felt rich in their skin. You know, they would take out bundles of money and they would say, please count, please count. And this is how, they felt privileged enough to be called rich. Wherein the same person who would go to a small counter, they would request for samples. And I felt that every client had a different level of interaction. They also looked upon people with a different eye when they were moving from station to station. And this is where I understood that the positioning of the brand and the positioning of the people. So
It's a
when
different it's a different point of view, Sakshi. But in compared to that, tell us that where did you think that in this whole process, you think that Chanel is the biggest catalyst for you, where you just really like shined all the way, or was it that your the next level which you reached when you thought that you had something to share with the whole world and show the light to the people when you joined Pearl Academy? And was it because I thought that your teaching was inept, like already in you when the time you started teaching, just post your NCC cadet experience, and then you built on your communication skills to reach a level where you were polished enough, and then you had the validation of the luxury industry that post Chanel, people would say that whatever Sakshi is saying is validated and is authentic. Because otherwise, then somebody who's come from Punjab and starts teaching for luxury, there is a big gap. So do you think that that was required for you to go through to validate that today when Sakshi teaches and says something about luxury that is more authentic? Okay, yeah, she's been there, she's done that.
Yes, certainly. I think it is important. Chanel gave me the platform to be who I was and who I wanted to become, because I looked up to and looked forward to, and I wanted to become Gabrielle Chanel. I wanted to, other than the part that she never got married, I want to get married. But other than that, I wanted to be all that she was. Again, at Chanel, I was mentored by a very beautiful young woman. Her name is Anchal Malhotra. And I was close to her in a way that I wanted to mirror her to understand that what was needed in me to be polished enough to be in the industry. I went close to her. I mirrored what exactly she was doing. because during my first training, I poked somebody in the eye with a mascara. I'd never used a mascara. I'd only used a lipstick. I used the lipstick as a lip shade. For the blush I'd used, and for the eyeshadow, I would put the same thing. Or one basic thing was kajal. I was not acquainted with the names of the products. I never knew this is such a wide spread of products that people put on their face. So when that happened, I started mirroring people, those who were already in the industry. Everybody in my team was actually experienced enough, but I was not. The beautiful trainer back at that time made me sit in front of her and said, Sakshi, you can do anything. You can do anything, I tell you today. Everything is in front of you. I want you to go and try every fragrance on your skin. So, by the time I would go back home after training, I'd be loaded with everything. I made sure my hand had a fragrance, my neck was sprayed with something else. Because that freedom gives you a lot of courage to go and try things on yourself and then come back with questions that needed to be answered by a trainer. And I think the gift that I received from Chanel really made a lot of change to what my destiny was planned to be and what changes I made to make my destiny with my own decisions. I was given number 5, and my trainer said that whosoever gets number 5 has, life that is full of magical miracles. And I believed her. And then she gave me a moisturizer. She said that now onwards, you'll be just shining. You'll have your skin which will be shining, and people will come towards you with an attract. I think I believe that trainer so much that every word that she said, and she also gave me the classic red lipstick, which opens like this with a click, And the idea Gabrielle Chanel made this lipstick with was she was playing with the pen, a click pen. And she thought, why not make a lipstick that opens and does not get spoiled in the bag? Because sometimes, we women have
Yeah.
everything in our bag. So she said that if a lipstick would open in the bag, it would probably spoil other things and the lipstick will also get spoiled. And this is why this click packaging happened. So all the small things that she told me, even the logo that is in gold, means that if my bag is dark, I will still be able to find my lipstick. All the details that she told me about certain products made me feel like I want all of them and I want the world to know about it, because lipstick for me was not just a lipstick now. It was a philosophy. It was a comfort and ease that made luxury luxury. Because anyhow, red will remain red. I understood that lipstick with details of such kind make it luxury. And whatever she gave me as a gift, I had fallen in love with so much with these products. When I went on the station to get into sales, I had so much of conviction for these products that it made, every story and every interaction very, very easy. And since I was a Punjabi, I would make every client laugh and they would smile. And I made sure everybody knew my name. I would tell them, my name is Sakshi. I'm coming from Ludhiana. You know, I am somebody who's doing makeup. Look at my lip shade. And every day I made sure that, my makeup was new. I was
Actually,
trying, I was experimenting.
you said during the time, I think earlier, that you were being bullied and judged at being so thin. But I think today's day and age, everybody wants to become thin, and you were naturally thin, and you still, yeah, you are so well maintained, and you're so beautifully radiant. Do you think? And I'm talking about the diversity and inclusion which has come out in the last 10 years, which people have now opened their eyes to. That a certain vanity is involved in luxury. You're supposed to be and look a certain way. And I want to know that from your point of view, that, you being a certain body type and you being exposed to a certain environment, and then you were being categorized or even sidecasted for a certain things, which the way you speak, the way you talk, and then the way people perceive you. Do you think that has moved since last 20 years, and today has it been? But in today's day and age, and at least in India, I feel that vanity is reflective of the fact that whichever brand you represent, and say for instance you're representing a XYZ brand or ABC brand, you have to be and feel like that brand. So and then it so shows that when you manifested Gabrielle Chanel, you start looking like Chanel and believing like Chanel. So is the students and the people who want to get into the industry have to be a certain way, or they have to feel a certain way?
I think when we speak about being bullied, I think it hasn't changed. It has even become bad. It has
Okay.
become much more stronger because now we have online platforms wherein
Yeah.
people have a lot of freedom to say whatever the shit they want to say and escape. I think when I was still young, my own family was bullying me. If it had been somebody from outside, I would still gather the courage to fight, you know. But when your own family, adding kind of humor to you, to how you look a certain way, you don't want to fight them because,
Yeah.
it is a support system that you look forward to. So for me, it was quite difficult. I still, those days when I didn't feel like looking at myself with love. I felt something is missing in me. But as I said, I believed in Lord Shiva and I would always speak to a presence outside of me. It might feel really metaphorical right now. You might feel that this woman is little crazy. But I think
No,
I
no.
believed in Shiva and he sent me all the cues. And if I said, Sakshi, are you looking bad? So there is a voice that answers me, no, you look wonderful the way you are. So that voice helped me back then. But today I did one of the programs which is called Inner Child Healing. Inner
Okay.
Child Healing allowed me to look at the child who needed help and did not know what was happening to that person. But when I did Inner Child Healing program, I learned that there was a voice inside me that wanted to say whatever came my way, but I stopped myself. So the Sakshi that is sitting here today is not in a nutshell, somebody who is strong enough, somebody who sat with all the vulnerability that she had and made courage to look beyond the shortcomings that I had and started loving them. And now I realize that, it is a part of the Indian family ecosystem to say bad things about their own children in a very humorous way and then escape it without knowing that there is a lot of mental impact that they carry throughout their life. That is why so many of the relationships are breaking. People are not having a better understanding of the things because as children, if they wanted to cry, they were told बच्चे नहीं रोते हैं. So they could
Yes.
not process the
Yeah.
emotion of crying. We were only told to smile. Wherein in the real world, every emotion holds a space. You have to cry, you have to smile, you have to shout, you have to get angry. I'm into meditation and people ask me, Sakshi, why are you shouting? I said, I'm not a saint. I need to let this go before I'm like vented, I'm like silent. Now I'm able to think better. I think back in those times, people would control their emotions, and today's world, both ways, I think positive way and negative way. Positively, so many people are speaking about body shaming, which should not be a part of any game, be it at any educational institution, be it in the professional network, even in the close family. I now gathered a lot of courage to say that maybe I have certain wounds, but I don't want people around me to go through that same journey of having traumas and wounds. So I make sure that even if a person does not look a certain age or style or body type, I make sure that this person knows what is the good thing that they have in them which separates them from somebody else. So when I used to take care of subject styling and etiquette, there is a way to speak about body types. Now I have always been thin. I never knew what a body type is. But when I got into speaking about body types, I understood that lot of people were getting anxious to speak about themselves a certain way because I think Kim Kardashians have made hourglass a certain body type that everybody wants to have. And if you go to Middle East, you will see everybody is injected with, lips and they have a certain body type, It's more curved, everybody desired that. But they all look robotic as if they have been made through a certain machine and they all look alike. Got into meditation and became little responsible to spread a message that everybody is beautiful as they are.
Yes.
And I think God has a way of giving back all the love that you give forward. When I was able to make a difference to lives of so many students so that they can look at themselves as beautiful people, it gave me courage to also look at myself a certain way. I am a trained yoga teacher and I'm a meditator, which I do not mention very often. And I also dance. I dance a lot. Whenever I have a difficult situation, I will first dance and then I look at the difficult situation and makes it much more easier. I kind of takes courage to say that, I was somebody who sat with myself and I looked at things, how they would work for me. And this is the message I give forward to people that you can be a certain body type. You can also be Krishna and be called Samla. You can be Shiva and still be called, why are you dancing? Why are you doing thunder? You can be Ram and you would be still criticized for asking Sita to, you know, take certain decisions that landed that kind of life for them. I think villains are a part of life. So I have started looking at villains as somebody who wants to make sure that I grow in my life and I become a better person. So whenever I get any critical feedback and I write it and I sit on it to understand, is this person actually making some changes to how I should be? Or is this person suggesting that I should stop loving myself? These two questions make the whole path easier. And I want to tell everybody in today's time, depression is also a condition that we can fall into. There was also a time in my life when I was depressed, and I came out of it. I'm thankful to Art of Living, Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar. I don't know. They say that Guru finds you, you don't find Guru. He found me because I made sure that everybody around me was happy, smiling, felt confident in their own skin. So he made sure I felt the same way. So I was the chosen one. This is how Art of Living happened. But coming back to your question, I think a bigger suggestion I want to give to people is that don't give shit to anybody else's opinions before yours. Even if your own parents tell you something, you have to look at your parents as somebody who can contribute to your life, but should not decide, the path for yourself. Because when they were born, the lives were different, environment was
Yes.
different, thought process was different, food was different, everything was different. And now the click of your phone, parents will also say, okay, let's have pizza. But earlier people used to go out and make effort to enjoy their food, away from homes. So if
That
so much
that
has
leads
changed, you
me
have to also understand.
that leads me to my next question, because you're very right at the precipice of this idea that the earlier generation was different and this generation is different, and every generation which keeps on getting more and more advanced. And then we had talked about this off the record, that in today's day and age, luxury is all digital, and everybody has the attention span of a goldfish. As they do doom scrolling and as they you know consume luxury, we as veterans of the luxury world have seen three generations, from generation so X, Y, and Z, and now the generation Alpha, where people are more understanding that the priorities are changing, but they're not investing enough in the history, the heritage, or the culture. How do you see it? Because I want your point of view from the time when you started luxury to the time you were in the high of it, and now you see it through a lens of luxury and through a device. What has changed? Like, give me a few pointers to at least understand that from a fresh point of view, because I have my point of view. I think the world knows that very clearly, and I'm very adept about it. What is your side of luxury through generations?
I think the transition had happened over time and nobody was ready for it. What COVID did to the world, nobody was prepared for it. So before COVID and before even the online platforms, people believed more in cash when it came to luxury, even though they might go for checks. And even if they wanted to make online transactions, they wanted to limit to cash transactions because we know people of certain profile in India, they want to use black money. And also decision making was much more easier because people, those who were coming to buy, they were the decision makers and they also holded the accountability of the spending of money. But I think now people are taking revenge. The younger generation is taking revenge on people those who have money because they know digitally they have no control. They don't know what to do about it. Even during one of the college projects, we wanted to make a website for 60 plus people to help them navigate the online shopping better. And we came to know that they can't see very well, they have to use their glasses. And sometimes the screens and the touch of the screen makes them feel really, really anxious because they do not have
Hmm.
control. Maybe somebody who understand internet, somebody who understand the scrolling, somebody who understand the navigation between different pages. For us, it is much easier, but if they click on the screen and something happens, they're like baffled. They're like, oh, the world war is happening because they do not have control of the gadget. So we wanted to make a website where the fonts are bigger, where the texts are much more clearer, where the price is written as it is. But as we did survey to kind of understand things from people of certain age, they said we don't want to learn
Hmm.
because first we do not trust the authenticity. Second, they are the generation who wanted to touch, feel, and try. Third, they were into cash transactions. Fourth, they wanted to make sure that the exchange, refund, everything was possible for all of these things. You know, so just imagine so many of their conversation are still migrated to that particular traditional purchase pattern, but they want an online platform to also give them cash back. If you are like returning a thing, they want to make sure a person comes and gives them cash. They do not want the money to reflect back in their accounts. This is the mindset that they carry, and they said we don't want to learn this thing. So it means now the money which was coming from these people will only come to offline platforms. Yeah, since these people have become so wiser in their purchases that they don't want to go and just buy everything. They would want to buy one bag and keep it for 15 years.
Yes.
It is the younger generation that is spoiling the money because they want to be Instagram ready. They want to be party ready. They want to make sure that everybody looks at them with certain, dignity in their eye for the brands that they're wearing. These are the people, those who are wearing a face which is different than who they are. Every time they click a picture, they'll smile for the picture and then they'll be sad. This is the reality which I've seen and encountered myself. Women would spend more time in the boutiques before they made their purchases. So all of that was happening. Versus today, even if a woman of that certain era wants to buy something online, she's dependent on a younger generation person who in return wants this older person to buy something also for them. Because the flow of the money, are you seeing this vicious cycle? Because somebody wants help with the online transactions and somebody needs actually money to buy things. I think now people have to kind of declare certain documents like their PAN card before they make purchases. That is also pulling people to not shop in India because they can go abroad and that they can make purchases easily and they can also save taxes. But at the same time, so many things have changed after social media has taken over post COVID. People want to show off everything that they have. And luxury today has a very different face. It still has customers, those who know about the brand, history, and they are the loyalist of the brands. But we still have people, those who are hoppers, and they want to make sure that, they get into different events of a brand. They come into the privileged lines so that they are attended to well in the brands. And then we also have people, those who are collectors, so every kind of client exists. If we train people on these certain aspects of people, then talking about the product, I think luxury would become a very better place and it will have a lot of expansion, not only of growth business, but also for opportunities to have more people join on board. For example, if I'm choosing one person who is already a luxury enthusiast, somebody who's already carrying a Chanel bag or a Gucci or a Versace or let's say Dior, might not want to work in the front field of a brand. But somebody who is not known the industry might still have a desire to work. But the brands are keeping their platforms so high, their expectations so high that they need already polished people. So these people are struggling now to see how can they get to know about the brand and how can they fit into it. So they start buying first copy, second copy. They start like exchanging with each other. So they want to fit in. I think luxury in one way is also hampering with the psychology of these young kids, wherein they can have fresh perspectives and ideas, but they're trying to fit into the roles to become a brand themselves. To the contrary, when we speak about clients also, the clients, those who are coming to buy from a certain brand today, have become much more easy in their own choices.
I think I still see that you're so embedded in that the idea of luxury for the consumer side of you. And you've always
Yes.
worked from the consumer's point of view and the consumer's profitability or the best bargains and, give them the best experience. So,
When I started working, I wanted to make sure that this person, if they're coming from Jaipur to make a purchase, I would ask them how their journey was. Did they eat something? Would they wanted tea? Would they preferred coffee? I did not offer them things. I asked them. When you ask somebody, then they come in a position of power. And this is what is very important to everybody in today's life. People want to have that power. They want to have that hold. You are not deciding for the clients. I think these two are good for you. No. What do you think should be better for you? So I empowered and I gave all the power to the clients. And when people have money, they want to have that power, they
Yeah,
enjoy that power. So when you give them that power, and we should never decide for anybody. If we decide for somebody, they might question our decision, but when they decide for themselves, they can't question it actually. And a
interesting.
very beautiful secret of mine, that only some people know about it, that even though I must have worked in Chanel for longer than a decade, I was only, having a lot of business from clients, those who have had lot of faith in me. These clients gave me that confidence that, sales would happen just like that. I would not have to worry. So, when you value this person, they are like now more open. And I feel the success of any business is when the client is doing more of the talking and you're listening more. I did this thing, I would walk the clients to the door. I made sure I was standing there and I was speaking about things that were away from transactions.
Mm.
Maybe I was not coming with a hope to spend like a 2 lakh on a shoe, but maybe Sakshi introduced me to something and I bought it. Now, this guilty of spending money was actually taken away by this conversation, which was very light and gave them a hope that I value them and it's not just transactional. That made a lot of difference to the business. And I would just be calling these clients, I would just be entertaining these clients, and I would continue to have references from them. I was good to them, they were good to me, the business was continuing to happen, the business was easy to happen. And my success story comes from being genuine. I never sold a thing that was not needed to be sold. I preponed the sales, I postponed the sales, I made sure that the clients were not doing any impulsive shopping. That is what made me different from others. Until today, though I must have left the brand, I am still being called by certain clients to ask for opinions. And I feel really privileged and thankful to God that, being truthful takes you a long way.
Thank you, Sakshi. You have been such an amazing Pandora's box in a good way. There's so many secrets which you have spilled today of the industry and of the Indian subcontinent. Because, and I always had the vision that around the world, luxury is perceived differently. When in India, luxury is different. It's not even perception. It's actually every client has a different story and everybody lives a different lives and they have different ways of communication. And that's why most of the luxury brands all over the world, they are very hesitant to enter India. And some of them which enter India and do amazingly well is because people, I think, like you, are there at the grassroots level to understand and even to convert. Because there is a luxury language which is internationally there, and then there's an Indian luxury language, which I feel so too, that has to be done the Indian way. And that's what makes it different from international to India. And I think you're such a great reflection that how is it thinking? Because I think in every question which I ask you, you're so involved in the consumers, the idea, the operational side, the selling side. And we very, very rarely see the real Sakshi as a strategist. But you put your consumers in front of you, you put your consumers, I think, understanding and wants and desires in front of yours. And that is such a natural thing which comes. Like, and a lot of the best people in the Indian luxury industry I've met, and I've trained many of them, right from the CEOs to the the salespeople who do the job every day in day out, and they are always thinking about how is it good and how they're happy with it. It's not like they're selling for a reward or recognition. They're just happy doing that. And that's a great reflection of yours. And we'll do a small rapid fire round because I want to know that something about you, quick and very nice. And it's something which is very entertaining for our audiences because they want to know the real thing and what does Sakshi think about. So just 4 5 questions. So start. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. So the first luxury you ever bought for yourself.
I bought a Chanel shoe and it was beautifully wrapped by the manager there. And she made sure that my first purchase felt like very special to me.
So a brand you think that gets India right.
I think all the brands are still trying to figure out India right, because they are not choosing, they want to pick up people, those who speak a certain way, a certain accent. You can take Indian out of India, but that Indianness still remains. So I think brands are still blinded towards this side. They need to pick up people of versatility, and at the same time, people, those who are preparing luxury enthusiasts, they are also not able to understand that, we need to have a powerhouse that supplies to all different channels. So these educational institutions, they do not have a power equipped person like you and probably like me, those who come from different backgrounds and they have seen people flourish, evolve over the period of time, to bring knowledge which is not learned but experienced in the skin, and that makes the knowledge much more comfortable for children to absorb. That is missing in today's time. It is a facade that they are putting in, but actually they are somebody else. Even in the transactional value of the money that students are paying, they are not getting repaid for what they actually deserve. Somebody like you, I'm so happy that I met
Thank you
you.
so much.
And after a conversation, I'm going to write a email to you to learn all the things that I am still missing in myself, and I feel that you have them. That's my pardon's plan. So I think this you need to go to these students, to be there in front of them so that they can ask you any question and you have answers to all. And that is what is needed. Yeah.
Hopefully, I think that's why I try to make sure that this platform gives them. And when I do my visits in India and I do corporate trainings in India, and I do a lot of, so I teach at SPJN also, and I teach at other institutes, and probably just randomly do talks to be available to as a person with so much of experience and to be able to answer the queries. I want to give you the last final question is that if not luxury, what field will you be in or what would you be doing?
Luxury just happens to be a part of my journey. It is not who I am. Luxury, as far as I understand from a distance, is people, those who are trying to be something that they are not. And if I was not luxury, I would still be me. I think unapologetically, I would like to be myself. And I am really accountable for all the mistakes that I did on my journey. And I am very thankful that there was nobody around me to whom I could blame for my mistakes that I did. And I also feel that, being a learner and a person of experimentation, I must have learned how to dance, sing, cook, horse riding, going shopping, traveling on my own. I think a person that I have become today has become this person because of everything that was sent my way as quite odd. I made it even. And this is how I link with the students, those who are, at Pearl, because I do not look at them through their backgrounds, through the money that they have, through the privilege that they are living, through the knowledge that they have. Because so I think Gen Zs, they have a lot of potential. I love them. I honor them. I respect them. There is so much to learn from them. These are the people, those who are breaking the, curses that were bestowed upon us by our own families, by our own societies, to have a voice, to say opinions as they are feeling it. And one message that I want to give out to everybody: mental health is really, really important. And today I advocate art of living very, very openly, because I had shared with you that
Yes.
how I had heart to heart conversations with Gurudev Ravi Shankar, and how I met him. And it happens until today. There are so many miracles because it is all about energies, and he's always so
Yes.
positive. Meditation gave me clarity to look at things as they are without painting them with my own perception. And that is what is missing in today's time: to remove your own perceptions, judgments before we look at the person for who they are. And that is
Thank
why I
you.
connected with you when I saw that you you were interviewing people, but you were not asking them to speak your own language and your own vocabulary and your own speech. I respect you, and I think I would promote you with my whole heart. And
Thank you so
I want
much.
everybody to know that, to be yourself is the biggest asset that we have, and we must preserve and carry it.
Thank you so much, Sakshi, to be on this. And it was lovely connecting with you, knowing you. And I'm so glad that this platform is there for people to just shine. And all the best for everything which you do. And we're so excited to see you shine more and more and give light to the students. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I want to clap for you. For you, so that there are 1,000 more hands clapping for you one day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, because I have seen students struggling for knowledge. I think it's the right platform with so many opinions, so that they don't get diverted with different opinions, but they create their own. So really, I'm voicing for you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for having me on board. Yeah.
Thank you.